I saw your feedback under the last Ultra League video and I really appreciate it. So let's take a look if we're going to be able to have a bit more fun with this team in the Open Ultra League. We're going to take a look here at the Skeledirge. We are going to have a little bit more Ultra League content now coming up as well, because honestly, I had great fun playing this meta with this team. This was completely a little bit of a different one for me, at least. It's like Pokemon that I enjoy. This is kind of what I tried to go for as well today. I try to bring Pokemon that I think are great. Gastrodon is one of them. Gastrodon is one of the most broken Pokemon that you can currently run. I know it's a legendary Pokemon. It hasn't been available, I think, for quite a while. But it's absolutely worth it if you can get your hands on one, trade one with your friends. It is very, very strong for this meta. And we're going to have here as our Sacer by the Shadow Dusknoir, which is going to get hard countered in the first battle here by the opponent's Moltres. Generally speaking, there is not really a hard answer to Dusknoir. Again, Moltres as well is going to take neutral damage from our Dynamic Punch, which sadly failed in this case. But it's not the worst, absolutely not. So, just generally speaking, like, I want to have two ghost types in the back because I kind of really want to showcase the Skeledirge. For Skeledirge, this Pokemon got buffed. Skeledirge got buffed with the Shadow Ball this season, which allows you to get there way faster than before. Like, with 5 less energy, seems to be like, oh, nothing. But it actually does make a big difference, because now, all of a sudden, you're going to have way better pacing, not only with Shadow Ball, but also with Torch Song. And that's something that's kind of interesting, because basically, if you go for your 3 first fast moves, you're going to end up at 60 energy. If you go for a Shadow Ball, you're going to keep 10 energy afterwards, which allows you then to go for 2 times 2 fast moves basically afterwards directly for another Torch Song then, which is going to be fantastic. You're going to have like those 10 extra energy allow you to get to your next 2 Torch Songs, 1 fast move earlier than usual. And that is just so cool, because now this Pokemon is going to have actually way more play over a long period of time. And it was honestly such a strong team, but also just generally the buff on the Skeledirge was very noticeable. So let's take a look here real quick at the next opponent, where we're going to face off against the Shadow Scissor, and I face this lead quite often. And let's take a look what we're going to do here. We're actually going to have the Trailblaze coming through, that's fine. I try to get a shield here because I know that I have a Pokemon that's going to be very good against the Scissor if it's allowed to get the Incinerate through. Goodbye, Shadow Scissor. We have a shield advantage, and in comes Zygarde. This must be a creator team as well, I feel like, because I faced this, I think, twice today. You're most likely going to see, yeah, you're definitely going to see both battles as well. Very certain I saw this core twice today, which I found quite interesting. If you've seen the video yesterday for the Ultra League for Flamigo, you also mostly saw there that I had this double electric team that I faced, I think, 3 times in that video, which was really bad for me because I had Flamigo in the back, and Flamigo doesn't like it. But I was really worried about this. That's why I want to have a team here that has no weakness to electric type Pokemon, which is funny because we're actually going to get an electric type Pokemon out here that was not planned. With Guzzlord being a resistance and our backline being neutral, and I barely faced any electric type Pokemon. So like the meta itself, I'm still not too sure. It's kind of mad, but let's go a little bit more into detail here towards the battles. I kind of want to be more explanatory towards what we do in a lot of cases as well. So let's take a look here at the team itself real quick. Again, Guzzlord is going to be our lead. It is perfect combination together with the Skeledirge. Skeledirge is going to be able to resist fighting, ice, as well as fairy type moves, which are all very tough for you. But also Skeledirge is going to be able to beat those steel type and ice type Pokemon, for example. They're also tough for your Guzzlord. Guzzlord, though, on the other hand, is a cover for especially ghost type Pokemon, which you kind of don't want to face, and otherwise kind of neutral against like the weaknesses. Also resist the dark typing, which is important for the Skeledirge. So basically the core of Skeledirge and Guzzlord is fantastic, and this is what we can explore here today. Here we're going to be able to win with our Skeledirge the second battle as well, already against a tough team, but we were very nice. And let's take a look here at the next opponent. I thought I was in the wrong league. Giraffric was not the Pokemon that I was expected to see here today. It's an XL Giraffric for the Open Ultra League. Shout out to the opponent, Crazy Spice. By the way, I went up to 2,950 elo, I think, with this team, which is kind of mad. And I've been, mostly when this video is out, I just have been finishing streaming. I'm streaming now regularly on YouTube as well as on Twitch. Follow on both platforms if you want to be up to date for that. Always Thursdays. This Saturday I don't, but then, yeah, usually Thursday, Saturday, and Monday. Just this Saturday I can't. So yeah, stay tuned for this one. There's going to be more coming up towards it for the upcoming season, so definitely stay tuned. But anyway, let's take a look at this matchup. Here, we need to kind of keep our lead always for the opponent's Moltres. And here I actually it's a bit of an unfortunate matchup. We're going to have now the Skeledirge in against the opponent's Florges. But Chilling Water's coming in here, that's fine. I can go for a Torch Song because I saw that I still survive another Chilling Water. So I'm safe here basically to go for one move, and I'd rather boost myself up first to see on how much damage I actually do. I just saw that another Torch Song is going to be enough to knock out that Florges. So I want to get rid of this Florges here ASAP because I need to kind of keep my Gastrodon alive for the late game, because you saw already a Pokemon that we kind of need the Gastrodon for. Actually 2 Pokemon in the Giratina here as well. But here's my issue. I was not too sure if the opponent had energy already on their other Pokemon, on their Moltres. I know that they had energy, I just didn't know if they had already a Fly Start. And this is why I decided to try to do this play of swapping in first into the Gastrodon and then swapping out into the Dusknoir. I was expecting the opponent's Moltres to come back in with a Fly. That didn't happen, otherwise it should have just stayed in. I would have been in such a better spot. But it doesn't matter, because actually Dusknoir still wins against Giratina. Giratina is not the Pokemon I would recommend you to play in the Open Ultra League. Let's move on to the next opponent. Alright. Fantastic lead. Here's the thing that kind of goes through my head at this point. I know that I'm going to need 2 charge moves anyway, so I'm going to bait first with a Brutal Swing just to see how much damage I need. I see already here 1 Brutal Swing is going to be doing just not enough to do it as a 2-shot, but I know that if I go for a few more extra fast moves, I will 2-shot it with a Brutal Swing. That's great information for myself, because here I used a shield just in case the opponent has Earthquake still. It would do too much damage. I don't really want to get hit by it. But here you saw me getting extra fast moves in, which now should put the opponent into a range where this knocks him out. That's why I went for that. That's why I would rather go for the shield. In comes the Sand Slash. I stopped out because I was feeling that if the opponent stays in with a Swampert in a lead like this, they're very likely going to be weak against Gazlord in the back. But let's see if this is going to actually work. I am very likely going to get a shield here from the opponent, I assume, with a Shadow Punch coming through, and I was absolutely wrong. And this is going to be quite devastating because the opponent still has 2 shields left, and I just kind of wasted a big opportunity to knock out the opponent out, but they have Galvantula in the back anyway. Goodbye, Skeledirge just completely destroys you. So we just won 4 in a row. But here is one big issue. Malamar for this team is quite tough to deal with. Malamar has access to Foul Play, Superpower, and look at our team. We have 2 Ghost types in the back, Foul Play, super effective, Superpower, super effective against our lead. And this is where it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Lapras comes in here. I assume that the opponent wants to kind of keep the Lapras around because I know that they got some energy advantage in the beginning. I know that they're going to outspeed me, and they know that as well. We are in very high elo range here. We are playing against very good opponents. They know what they're doing. And so I go for the bait first, and I'm going to use a shield here again, and I'm going to bait again because I do think that the opponent kind of really wants to have alignment here. And so I'm rather going to go for the bait here. I assume that I would even be able to go for another Shadow Punch, at least what I thought at this point. But it turns out that they're actually going to knock us out here. And now I'm in a bit of a tough spot because I don't want to get hit by an Ice Beam either on our Gazlord and make a bit of a mistake here. I go for the Dragon Claw, which is actually right. Like, this is going to be the harder hitting move as far as I know. Also damage per energy. It's only a tiny bit, but we're not knocking them out straight away. And I should have just stayed in because this is very like just going to be a Sparkling Aria, which would have been resisted against our lead. But here it isn't. Turns out at the end, spoiler alert, it's not going to matter anyway. Because here, the opponent is going to knock us out with a Foul Play. That is fine. But the final Pokemon that they had was Florges anyway. I have no play against Florges anymore when all of my Pokemon that have play against Florges are dead. Like, this team itself is fine against Florges. Yes, our lead is very, very weak to it, but the backline is fine. Our lead is not weak though to the opponent's Pokemon here, and they're struggling quite a bit with the Gazlord lead. We saw already know the Giratina coming in, and we also saw already that the opponent has that Ampharos, and I know that Ampharos has 0 play against our Gazlord. And so I kind of want to utilize that. And this is why we decided to go into our Dusknoir here in order to try to keep advantage here, switch advantage. I don't really care about the energy that I have, but I also noticed here one. I still survive 1 Volt Switch, and if I go 2 fast moves away from a move, I still get to the move there, because the Volt Switch damage applies basically 1 turn after I get the charge move off, which allows me to get this little bit of damage in here. There's kind of a little bit of tech play there as well, which of course with sped up gameplay it's a little bit more difficult to explain like the thought process behind it, but that's kind of the idea they had there, because basically if you have 2 3-turn moves and 2 4-turn moves, the damage of a move always, like of a fast move, always applies at -1 turn of the actual turn duration. Which means here, for example, for a Dragon Tail, it applies on the 2nd turn. It's a 3-turn move. And this is the thing as well. For Volt Switch, you have 2 times of it. First Volt Switch applies basically at turn number 3. And the second one at turn number 7, because you have to still finish the first Volt Switch and then 3 turns from the next one. This just allowed me to get another move off, which kind of weakens up the Ampharos, which just makes the matchup a little bit easier for myself. And I just kind of want to explain it to you as well. This is like kind of those small details that maybe kind of don't always been said in videos as well, that maybe you're wondering, okay, why are they doing this? Why are they playing it in a certain way? I kind of want to explain it. And again, if you appreciate it, and if you learn a little bit of new things here as well in this video, would really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Would appreciate it. Again, we are on a trying to get up to the 100,000 subscribers this year. I think I can do it. I think we can all do it together as a community. I can't wait to do more streaming. I feel like I'm so excited for the new season already. I feel it's kind of like a new beginning for Pokemon GO PvP. And so I would really like you to be on board for that as well. But let's take a look at the next Malamar, which is already, again, killing me softly here. And there's another issue. We have Tentacruel here. And this Pokemon, actually, I made a big mistake. I made a big mistake because I swapped out this matchup. And I only realized it afterwards, or actually I only realized it literally the second, that my lead actually hardwalls them. Like my lead hardwalls them, they have Scald and they have Payback. They're not gonna hit my Gastrodon. I should have just stayed in. It never occurred to me until just now. And here I try to catch the foul play. Let's see if this worked out for ourselves. But like I made this matchup so much worse for myself because I actually don't need Gastrodon for the Malamar. I don't need that. Like I really don't need it. Like what Gastrodon does here is forcing them to go for Superpower, which then drops their stats afterwards, which is cool. But here what we see in the back is going to be the Corviknight, and I think I would have very likely been able to have a way easier time here because what the issue is here now, they have also still Dark type coverage on the Corviknight with Payback. I would have had a way easier time. This does way too much damage for myself here, sadly, because I also have super fast super damage. Would have made way enough time here, basically, in order to win this battle endgame with the Pokemon here, like the Skeledirge, which can sweep as well with a Torch Song boost, which makes it so interesting. If I just recognized earlier that Tentacruel actually doesn't run coverage for Gastrodon. And this is an issue. I don't play Ultra League. And this is for me kind of new as well, because I kind of need to adapt to things as well. And I'm learning even for this league because I just took such a massive break for this meta. Like I really haven't been looking into Ultra League too much for like 2-3 years at this point. I still of course know how to battle and I still know how to build teams because team building isn't league specific a lot of times. But the issue is here, of course, I haven't really had the experience with the different kind of Pokemon because Tentacruel is just a phenomenon for the Ultra League. Okay, you've seen the lead matchup already with the Scissor earlier on, where we were able to really do well. Here the opponent actually caught us swapping out earlier than I expected, or earlier than the last one basically. But what they didn't do is, they didn't do it perfectly fine for the Jellicent to make it awkward for us, because it's actually quite awkward to have a 5-turn fast move against a 3-turn fast move user, which we have here with Jellicent, 3-turn fast move user, 5-turn fast moves, of course, on the Skeledirge. But what they actually allowed me to do now is just to A, snipe them, but B, have a ton of energy on my Skeledirge, which can come in clutch later on. And here's exactly the same Pokemon that we saw already earlier. This is the exact same team, I think, even compared to the one earlier. It's, I think, just very common, strong Pokemon. Like Jellicent core together with the Zygarde here makes a lot of sense. Like Jellicent covers the weaknesses of Zygarde quite well. And then the lead of Scissor kind of also covers the weaknesses of the Zygarde quite well. So like they're actually just a very good core together. And also you have double resistance to fire in the back with Jellicent as well as the Zygarde. It's a very good team. Like it makes a lot of sense here. I like the team from the opponent. But we have Skeledirge, and I can go for a Torch Song. And at this point, the opponent stops out into the Scissor. And I do think that I'm going to be fine now with that, because I should be able to get another Torch Song off even straight afterwards, which now allows us to knock them out. And one Incinerate would be enough to knock out the opponent's Zygarde. Depends on if they get to a move or not. They cannot, and we can win this battle. Okay, final battle for today. Let's take a look at how this is going to work out. We're going to have here the Magnezone on the lead. I am not too worried. The thing is here, Magnezone is mainly doing only damage with the electric type damage. And this is kind of the one weakness of Magnezone. If Magnezone would have a secondary charge move, like a buffed one like Mirror Shot, or even have if it would have a Magnet Bomb, which the pre-evolution has, which is actually stronger than the evolution has, then it would be kind of nearly unstoppable in those scenarios, because you do so much damage with the moves of Magnezone anyway. But because you're kind of locked into Wild Charge, if you resist it, you're actually fine in that matchup. And so I don't really worry too much about it. But what we're going to get out here is the opponent's Togekiss. Psyshock is going to be a bit awkward, but again, based on what we know now, is that we can actually get to those 2 Torch Songs quite a bit faster after an initial Shadow Ball, which is fantastic because it allows me to align myself. And I need alignment here because of what we have in the back is still the Dusknoir, which doesn't really want to face directly, at least, the opponent's Magnezone. and we still have our good Magnezone ants in the back. And so I'm kind of hopeful for whatever they have in the back that we can deal with it. And it's going to be their own Dusknoir, which means I have my Brutal Swing. They're going to catch it on the Magnezone, and I'm not too worried about that. I get rid of the opponent's Magnezone, and I'm happy about it, because I know I still get to another move in time before they get to a Dynamic Punch, which they're forced to go for. And now I get them super low, and I have my own Astonish user, which is doing so much damage to knock them out and win us a final battle. So, this team was actually fantastic. I did do 1 or 2 mistakes as well in the gameplay, but that is totally fine. By the way, I want to get Honed here. I had a little cut there because I wanted to make over something to get the candies for this Pokemon. But yeah, this team was fantastic. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you want to see more Ultra League videos like this, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe to this channel. I can see those statistics. Thanks so much for the support on the last video for the Ultra League, and this is my Elo now. See you then. Bye bye.